Hey, listen, I get it. Selling an ugly car is hard. Selling an ugly car that looks like it was designed by a drunk college student that left a frat party in the middle of the night, that broke into his college art studio, that all of a sudden found a ruler and a pencil and engaged some wild imagination, makes it nearly impossible to go ahead and move this metal. Yet, here we are, looking back at vehicles with radical designs that, well, made headlines, that made history. Some of them good, some bad, and a whole lot in the middle that made us question humanity's choices and path in life. But what if I told you that with the right approach, you could sell any of these really easily? Even a car that looked like it fell off the set of a 1980s sci-fi movie and ended up becoming a financial nightmare. Welcome to today's episode 31. Today, we're going to break down the art of selling the unsellable. We're going to look at the rise and the fall of John DeLorean's DMC-12. So picture this. It's 1981. You're wearing your members only jacket. Pac-Man is eating every dot in the arcade. And then bam, you see it. This nice, shiny, stainless steel sports car with gull-wing doors just ripped straight out of a 1980s sci-fi movie. No, it's not Knight Rider's kit. It was the DeLorean DMC-12. You see, John DeLorean was a rock star in the automotive world, starting off at General Motors and then moving his way on over to Pontiac. Now, he had this idea of this futuristic car that would redefine the auto industry and set the tone for the future. It was the stuff of Tron-level dreams. He promised innovation, luxury, and performance. These were things that manufacturers said that they could do, but they never promised it, right? It was going to be the car of the future. It was going to be kind of like how the hoverboard would have changed skateboards in our industry. And thank you, Back to the Future 2, for getting all of our hopes up on that. We see what happened there. So trust is one of those things that can erode a company so quickly. You see, it's a double-edged sword, because when we go ahead and we start to take a look at trust, John DeLorean built an empire on this belief that he was a revolutionary. But when trust eroded, sales crashed. His investors backed out. The company collapsed, and the car that was supposed to be the future all of a sudden became this relic. Why? Well, because trust doesn't just sell. It can unsell much more quickly. It's customers that don't believe in you, all of a sudden will go ahead and just, well, leave your car on the wayside. They will, figure out a way to get rid of it. They'll let it be repossessed simply because they just don't want it, no matter how cool or unique the product is. So let's talk about how to earn trust, and more importantly, how to keep it. Sales isn't just about having the best product that's out there. I mean, heck, DMC-12 looked like it was something straight out of Blade Runner, but truth be told, it hit harder than a power ballad drum solo. The car was slow, it was underpowered, it lacked substance, it had way more style than most vehicles that were out there of the time. So it was definitely a looker, but kind of like a lot of the over-the-top flicks of the 1980s. Sorry, Cobra fans. The word got out about John DeLorean, and he, well, wasn't the auto messiah that everybody thought that he was. He just ended up being another dude, overpromising, underdelivering, like a late-night infomercial, selling you miracle product that on the second use it all of a sudden breaks and your hair falls out. So when customers lose trust, sales crash faster than E.T. Video games getting buried inside of a landfill. The lesson here, well, the brand can't be built on trust alone, right? Customers need to believe in what you're selling. It's not just about the product. It's about you, the person at the helm. So what can we learn from this Ghostbusters science fiasco? Well, a lot, actually. You see, trust is the foundation of every single sale. Customers don't buy products. They buy from people that they believe in, right? A great product can struggle if people don't trust the company, right? If a flawed product it comes out and it sells like crazy, it's usually because, well, the company is okay. Usually when brands fail, it's because the brand, not the product. Let's think about a luxury brand. Let's think about Rolex. If you're thinking about going out and buying a watch and you just need a watch to tell time, you're not going to walk into a Rolex or Breitling store. But when it comes to a Rolex, this is a brand that's been around a very, very long time, and they are around not because they make watches. They're around because they're a brand that has very high craftsmanship, and people want to be part of what they represent. So they go out and they buy a $5,000 to $20,000 Rolex, and people look at it and they go, "Oh, yay, look, a nice watch." But let's flip this on its head real quick, right? So you got Rolex, who's like the pinnacle of trust in a way. But when we flip it on its head, think about those like shady used car lots that you drive by, right? Just super sketched out. So you're driving by them, you're looking at them, their cars are dirty, they're dusty, and then you see the prices in the window, and you're like, dude, like $3,000 for that like Mini Cooper John Cooper Works. I've always kind of wanted one of those. It seems like a lot of fun, but I'm not going to drive in there. You see, trust can kill a deal before a deal even starts, right? You don't want to drive into one of those sketchy lots typically because, well, you don't have any connection with those individuals, right? Unless they have something there that you really, really, really want. But you see, this is exactly what John DeLorean banked on when he sold the DMC-12. He sold this idea of innovation more than the reality of it. The car had a stainless steel body. It was gorgeous. It had this futuristic look and this promise of exclusivity, right? You would be the only one in town that would have one of these. But trust is a fragile thing. It takes years to build and only seconds to lose. All you got to do is open your mouth and say something stupid, and next thing you know, nobody's buying your car, right? So some brands lose their grip on customer trust, and when they do, sales suffer, their stocks suffer, and all of a sudden, everything crashes. So what changed, right? And what can we learn from this? Well, the DMC-12 was no joke. I mean, John DeLorean did go ahead and hype this thing up quite a bit, but in the end, the car suffered from product delays, high skyrocketing price. The price of steel was going up at the time, and trying to get this vehicle out there in an incredibly niche market was tough because this vehicle had a very specific audience. It was targeted toward the Hollywood dreamers, the people that really wanted to be a part of something different, right? And have that cult following. I'm looking at you, Volkswagen fans. And this is where it all started to fall apart, right? This niche marketing that he did allowed him to go ahead and attract people that wanted to be a part of something. But if I tried to sell this vehicle to, let's say, a Corvette or Porsche buyer, it wasn't happening. And the reason is that the vehicle was slow. It didn't handle well. It didn't have the luxury that it was promised. And in the end, the brand started to lose sales, and people really didn't want the car because it wasn't quite as innovative as you thought it would be, right? And the exclusivity of it was to the point where you couldn't get your hands on one of these things because of the production delays. So the production delays mounted, and they increased, and they went even further because the cost of the vehicle skyrocketed. Trust began to erode. You see, at General Motors, though, John was a legend over there. Right, he was the playboy. He was the one that made all the other executives shake. I mean, this was a guy that went ahead, and he loved sports cars so much that he took a tiny little vehicle and he shoehorned a big V8 in it as an option, and it sold incredibly well, right? He realized that the poor man's sports car, quote unquote, was something that people needed out there. And when he went ahead and left General Motors, the executives at GM were quite happy. And the reason is that they realized is that when somebody gets to a point where the hype about them is so high, if they have one bad thing, all of a sudden, all the sales crash. Well, that's exactly what happened. Scandal hit, drug trafficking sting operation shattered the operations over in Ireland. And next thing you know, the DeLorean DMC-12 was dead on arrival, right? Whether he was guilty or not isn't for me to go ahead and determine, right? The damage was done, the brand collapsed, and customers ultimately walked away. How do we build trust with the customer and keep it even when we're selling the toughest product that's out there? Well, the brand's reputation over at DeLorean overshadowed the product. You see, John had a brilliant, bold idea, but ultimately the brand, he overshadowed what the brand was trying to accomplish. The DeLorean Motor Company had insane potential, and even today I hear every so often that somebody is trying to resurrect this brand. And I know that they are out there. I know that they are doing great work as of right now, but they could have been something amazingly great, right? But the leadership missteps led to the downfall. And the lesson here is this: your reputation as a sales consultant should enhance the customer's buying experience. It shouldn't be something that detracts from it, because as soon as that customer starts to second guess who they're dealing with, even if it's a little bit of trust that's being eroded away, if they start second guessing, they will run. You see, you can't sell a product by defending it. It just doesn't work that way. That's called begging. You sell a product by understanding who exactly that consumer is. You see, customers appreciate honesty. And honesty goes a long way. So if a customer comes on in and they're asking about the shortcomings of a product, whether it was slow or handled like crap, or it just didn't like look well, or it has a very bizarre cult following, answer the customer's questions, because this is where real trust is going to be built up. Keep in mind, not everybody's going to come in the door and look for a big shiny silver, door wedge, but what they will do is come on in and inquire about something. And as soon as you find that thread, figure out how to use it, right? What motivates them? Because here's the thing, you don't have to love it, right? I mean, you don't have to buy it. Nobody's going ahead and demanding that you do. But let me tell you something. This thing became a cult classic, and it will continue to be a cult classic in the future, and people will continue to make replicas of it, right? But the thing is, it's not going to win any race. It'll win beauty pageant awards, of course, and people will go ahead and look at it and it'll turn heads. But if you ever wanted to live out, let's say, your Ready Player One or, I don't know, Back to the Future fantasies, this car is potentially a vehicle that will almost allow you to do that. So what can we learn from this Ghostbusters science fiasco? Well, there's three really big things. First off, trust is the ultimate currency. It's the ultimate currency. It really is. It doesn't matter when it comes down to anything else. If that person doesn't trust you, they're not going to spend their money, right? If you think that just selling a pipe dream is going to get you there, as soon as that customer detects that you're selling the pipe dream, they're going to run away from you faster than Marty McFly trying to escape Biff. They're just not going to stick around, right? And also deliver on what you promised, right? The hype is great, but the vehicle needs to match that hype, right? So set those realistic expectations and then exceed them, right? Kind of like how, Empire Strike Back was somehow better than Star Wars. So reputation is everything. One misstep can overturn a legend and turn it into a cautionary tale. Ask all those people that bought Betamax. So if you're selling cars or really anything, don't be the John DeLorean of your industry and overpromise and underdeliver. The guy was actually a pretty decent guy. And my personal opinion, he was trying really hard to keep a brand afloat and just kind of took the wrong road. But if you want to be that DeLorean, well, there's other DeLoreans to select from. Be the Ready Player One DeLorean. Be the Back to the Future version of DeLorean. Be the one that people trust, right? And deliver on that dream that they have when they come on in. Because that's our job. Our job is to build those relationships, sell with integrity, and always, always, always remember, trust will take you far further than any flashy gimmick ever will. If you're out there selling, just know that John DeLorean was able to sell this car. There's a reason that we see this, and there's a reason that we see carbon copies of it that may be struggling to succeed. If he could sell that time machine, ultimately, you can sell anything. Right? It's just a matter of being able to have the confidence in yourself, be trustworthy, genuine, and show customers that you care about them more than you care about the commission. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and mash that subscribe button. No, it won't take you back in time, but it will help you sell better in the future and potentially even now in the present. And that's a future worth driving forward to. So go on out there, be kind, show customers that you care about them, spread that love. And thanks for nerding out with me. I will talk to you next week.